Jax's revenge domain. I knew we were in deep trouble the moment I walked into the server room Monday morning and heard nothing but silence. No hum of cooling fans, no familiar electronic chatter that had been my soundtrack for 12 years. That room was my command center, keeping payroll running for 18,000 construction workers across 6 states. No me, no paychecks. And when construction crews don't get paid, they don't file complaints. They walk off the job. I'm Jack Morrison, 49, Senior Database Administrator since this company was half its current size. Ex-Navy IT specialist who's been running the back end for everyone from San Diego Foundation crews to Seattle steel workers. It's not glamorous work, but it's honest and I'm damn good at it. Construction payroll isn't like pushing paper in some office. These workers pour concrete in 115-degree heat, climb 30 stories in gale winds, and rebuild after earthquakes. They deserve every penny on time, and my system makes sure they get it. My setup isn't some fancy cloud platform. It's a beast. Legacy SQL, custom scripts, and 12 years of surgical modifications. I know every quirk, every workaround. When California's prevailing wage laws changed overnight, I rewrote the engine in 3 days. When OSHA updated compliance reporting, I built a new module at 2 a.m. over Bourbon and BB King. Try calculating overtime for a crew that starts in California, moves to Nevada midweek, and finishes in Texas. Each state has different tax codes, union rules, hazard pay rates, and federal requirements, but corporate only sees an outdated system and me as the bottleneck holding back progress. Enter Bryce Martinez, 28-year-old VP of Operations and the chairman's nephew. Harvard MBA with a 3-piece suit and 0 real-world experience. He showed up after the Martinez family bought the company, talking about streamlining operations. What that really meant was firing experienced people and replacing them with cheaper alternatives. The meeting happened on a Wednesday. Bryce called me into his marble and glass office with Simon Rodriguez from HR. Simon's loyal to the company, not the people. "We're restructuring," Bryce said, barely looking up from his tablet. "Moving to a more agile, cost-effective model." "What does that mean for payroll?" I asked, though I already had a sinking feeling. He flashed that practiced smile they teach in business school. Meet Oliver Stevens. Just finished his Stanford MBA. Built a revolutionary payroll solution. Of course. Another fresh MBA with bright ideas. Oliver Stevens walked in like he owned the place. Designer suit, tablet in hand. That same arrogant confidence that screams, "I know better than everyone who came before me." "I've reviewed your processes," Oliver said. "Very thorough, but very manual. We can do better." "Better how?" I asked, dreading the answer. He tapped his screen proudly. "I built a complete payroll solution in Excel. Cloud-based, intuitive, handles everything your old SQL databases do." I stared at him. Excel. For 18,000 construction workers. "Not just any spreadsheet," Oliver said defensively. "Advanced pivot tables, macros, conditional formatting. It's basically a database, but user-friendly." User-friendly. That's what they always say when they want to replace something that actually works with something that looks prettier. I've been around long enough to know that user-friendly usually means it works great until it doesn't. Then you're screwed because nobody understands what's happening under the hood. "Is this serious?" I asked Bryce, hoping to see some sign he understood how insane this was. "It's innovation, Jack," Bryce said, leaning back in his designer chair. "Oliver's model can reduce processing time by 65% and cut overhead significantly." Cut overhead. What they meant was they could fire me and pay Oliver a fraction of my salary. I'd seen this movie before at other companies. Young MBA comes in, promises the world with some half-baked solution. Older employee gets shown the door. 6 months later, they're begging the old hand to come back and fix the mess. "The payroll run is Friday," I said, keeping my voice level. "Today is Wednesday. If you're switching systems, you need to understand what you're dealing with." I started counting off on my fingers. "We have prevailing wage calculations for government contracts. Union differentials that change based on project type and consecutive work days. Equipment rental tracking cross-referenced with GPS data. OSHA compliance reporting. Multi-state tax withholdings where a guy can start the week in California and finish it in Arizona." Oliver was nodding along, but I could see his eyes glazing over. He thought he understood because he'd read about payroll in some textbook. "I've accounted for all of that," Oliver interrupted. My model includes lookup tables for all state regulations and automated tax calculations. Lookup tables. The California Prevailing Wage Database alone has 912 different job classifications with different rates depending on which county you're working in. The union contracts have overtime rules that would make a tax lawyer's head spin. You've got guys who get time and a half after 8 hours, double time after 12, but only on certain project types. Then there's hazard pay that kicks in if they're working within 600 feet of explosive storage, with rates that change based on materials and proximity. Oliver, I said, trying to keep the condescension out of my voice, have you ever calculated prevailing wages for a federal highway project? I've studied the regulations, he said. Studying and doing are two different things. You know what happens when you get prevailing wages wrong on a federal contract? The Department of Labor comes in and audits everything. They can fine us for every hour that was calculated incorrectly going back 3 years. Bryce waved his hand dismissively. We'll have compliance reviews. Oliver's model includes error checking. Error checking in Excel, like conditional formatting, was going to catch it when some crew foreman in Sacramento enters his time wrong and Oliver's lookup formula returns the wrong wage rate for 50 guys working a government job. We'll need you to provide Oliver with all necessary passwords and documentation for a smooth transition, Simon finally spoke up. Documentation. I almost laughed. Most of the critical processes are in custom scripts I wrote over 12 years. The real knowledge isn't documented anywhere, it's in my head. That's the thing about systems that actually work in the real world. They're not built from textbooks. They're built by people who've been doing the job long enough to know where all the problems hide. I know that the time clock system in the San Jose warehouse has a glitch where it double stamps entries after midnight, but only on Thursdays when network load is high. I know that the union contract for concrete crews has a clause about meal breaks that nobody else remembers, but if you don't account for it, the guys don't get their penalty pay. Oliver doesn't know any of that. He's got his pretty spreadsheet with color-coded cells and fancy formulas, but he's never had to explain to Pete Henderson why his crane operators are showing up as earning less than minimum wage because some calculation went sideways. When's my last day? I asked. Friday, Bryce said. After the payroll run, we want to make sure there's a smooth transition. And that's when I knew for sure they'd already made their decision. They were giving me my walking papers and expecting me to train my replacement. I've tested my model extensively. Oliver jumped in again. On what data? Sample data from the HR system plus theoretical scenarios. Sample data. Theoretical scenarios. He tested his revolutionary payroll solution on make-believe numbers. It was like testing a race car by driving it around a parking lot at 5 miles per hour and assuming it would handle the Daytona 500. I stood up, my knees popping the way they do when you're about to make a decision you'll either regret or celebrate. All right then, I guess we'll see how it goes. That's the spirit, Bryce said, already looking back at his tablet. Simon will have your severance paperwork ready by end of business. I walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back to Oliver. One piece of advice. He looked up from his tablet, probably expecting some technical tip about database connections. When the system crashes, I said, and it will crash, don't panic. Just remember that 18,000 people are counting on their paychecks to pay rent and buy groceries. That might help you prioritize. The look on his face told me he still didn't get it. He thought this was just numbers on a screen. He had no idea he was about to be responsible for people's lives. I didn't argue anymore. Sometimes the best teacher is experience, and Oliver was about to get an education no MBA program could provide. The next 2 days were like watching a slow-motion car crash. I spent Thursday and Friday morning documenting everything I could think of, creating user guides and writing step-by-step instructions. But here's the thing about complex systems that have evolved over 12 years. You can't document institutional knowledge. You can't write down the gut feeling you get when something doesn't look right. Oliver shadowed me those 2 days, taking notes on his tablet and asking questions that showed he had no clue what he was getting into. Why do you manually verify the California wage classifications? He asked Thursday morning. Because the state database has been corrupted since 2019, I explained. It shows the right wage rates, but about 4% of the job classifications return wrong county codes. If you don't catch it, guys working in San Francisco get paid San Diego rates, which is about $6 an hour difference. Can't we just fix the database? It's a state system. We don't control it, we just work around it. He made a note on his tablet. I could see him typing fixed state database issue like that was something he could handle with a phone call. Thursday afternoon, Oliver was feeling confident enough to start importing real data into his Excel model. I watched him upload the raw time files from our 45 different job sites across 6 states. The spreadsheet immediately started lagging. "It's just loading," he said, clicking refresh repeatedly while Excel ground through 18,000 employee records. But I could see what was happening. His lookup formulas were hitting circular references because he didn't understand how prevailing wage calculations cascade. When you've got federal, state, and local wage requirements that can all apply to the same job, you can't just use a simple VLOOKUP. You need conditional logic that checks multiple criteria in a specific order. "Oliver," I said carefully, "you might want to test that on a smaller data set first. It'll be fine," he replied. But I could hear uncertainty creeping into his voice as Excel's memory usage spiked and the program started freezing. Friday morning came, and it was time for the official handoff. Oliver showed up early with his laptop and the kind of nervous energy you see in rookie pilots before their first solo flight. "Ready to make history?" he asked, trying to sound confident. I gathered my personal items while he set up at my workstation. Coffee mug that said "World's Most Adequate Database Admin," photo of my '67 Mustang, and a bottle of good bourbon I kept for emergencies. Something told me they'd need it more than I would. "The bank cutoff for direct deposits is noon," I reminded him. "After that, people don't get paid until Monday." "Got it," Oliver said, already focused on his screen where Excel was grinding through the payroll data like a chainsaw trying to cut through concrete. I started to leave, then stopped. "Oliver, one more thing. When this goes sideways, and it will go sideways, don't try to fix it by running the calculations again. Each time you reprocess, you create duplicate entries in the system. Fix the problem first, then rerun." He wasn't really listening. He was staring at his screen where the spreadsheet was showing error values in about half the cells. Simon walked me to security where Danny Foster was waiting with my severance paperwork. Danny's a good guy, ex-Army who understands the value of knowing your job inside and out. "Sorry to see you go, Jack," Danny said as I signed the documents. "This doesn't feel right. It's just business, Danny. Bad business, but business nonetheless." I drove home in my pickup truck, windows down, Muddy Waters on the radio. I should have been angry, but mostly I felt like I was watching a disaster movie where, the asteroid is going to hit, but the characters haven't figured it out yet. My phone started buzzing around 10:30 a.m. Text from Steve Williams, one of the payroll clerks. "Jack, Oliver's spreadsheet is showing weird numbers. My overtime calculation says I worked negative hours last week." Then another text from Carl Anderson in the San Jose office. "According to this payroll report, I make $943 an hour as a concrete finisher. I wish." By 11 a.m., my phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree. Guys from all over our territory were seeing their pay stubs in the employee portal, and nothing made sense. Employee ID numbers were getting mixed up with Social Security numbers. Job classifications were scrambled. Crane operators were showing up as office clerks. Concrete finishers were listed as accountants. The funniest one came from Roy Wilson, a foreman in Portland. "Jack, my pay stub says I worked 3,214 hours last week, and my net pay is negative $15,000. Did I rob the company, or did the company rob me?" I could picture exactly what had happened during the data import. Oliver had mixed up the column headers. Employee ID numbers were being used as hours worked, and hours worked were being treated as pay rates. Excel was trying to calculate wages using Social Security numbers as multipliers. But the real disaster was still coming. The weird numbers in the employee portal were just the appetizer. The main course would be served at noon when the bank tried to process Oliver's payroll file for electronic deposits. At 11:45 a.m., my phone rang. It was Simon from HR. "Jack," his voice was tight with panic. "We need to talk. Oliver's payroll file is showing some irregularities." Irregularities. According to his calculations, we owed the federal government $2.2 million in tax withholdings this week, but we'd only collected $400,000 from employee paychecks. I pulled into my driveway and sat in the truck listening to Simon explain how Oliver's Excel model had managed to create what was essentially a mathematical black hole. "Also," Simon continued, "the bank is questioning why we're trying to direct deposit $52,000 to one concrete mixer in Eugene while simultaneously deducting $27,000 from a crane operator's pay for something called equipment rental recovery fees. Has anyone told Bryce yet? He's in meetings all day. Oliver said he could fix it. Famous last words. I'd heard them before from every overconfident rookie who thought they could patch a sinking ship with duct tape and wishful thinking. Simon, I said, you might want to cancel those meetings. By 2 p.m., Frontier Construction wasn't a construction company anymore. It was a disaster zone. The bank had rejected Oliver's payroll file so hard it probably left scorch marks on their servers. According to their automated response, we were attempting to transfer invalid amounts to invalid accounts using invalid routing protocols. The employee portal had crashed under the weight of 18,000 workers trying to figure out why their pay stubs looked like they'd been written by a drunk accountant having a nervous breakdown. Some guys were owed hundreds of thousands of dollars. Others apparently owed the company money for the privilege of working there. But the real fireworks started when the union got involved. Pete Henderson has been representing construction workers for 28 years. He's built like a linebacker, talks like a drill sergeant, and has zero patience for corporate nonsense. When his guys don't get paid, Pete doesn't send strongly worded emails. He shuts things down. By 3 p.m., Pete was standing on the back of a pickup truck outside our main office with a megaphone, and trucks were lining up behind him. Frontier Construction thinks they can play games with working people's paychecks. His voice boomed across the parking lot. If they can't figure out how to pay us, maybe we should help them figure out what happens when nobody works. The walkout started like a wave. Sacramento sites shut down first, then Eugene, then the bridge project outside Seattle. By 4 p.m., every Frontier Construction job site in 6 states had gone quiet. 18,000 workers sitting in their trucks, posting videos on social media, calling local news stations. The footage was beautiful in a tragic sort of way. Aerial shots of idle construction sites, interviews with workers holding pay stubs that made no mathematical sense, union reps explaining to reporters how a company that builds half the infrastructure on the West Coast couldn't figure out basic payroll. My phone kept buzzing with updates from Danny and the other guys still inside the building. Oliver's locked himself in the conference room, Danny texted. He's been trying to fix his spreadsheet for 4 hours, but every time he changes something, it breaks something else. Another text. Bryce has been screaming at IT support all afternoon. Apparently, Oliver deleted the original data when he tried to reload the file. That made me chuckle. Of course he did. When you're panicking and something's not working, the natural impulse is to start over. But when you start over in Excel without backing up your work, you lose everything. Oliver had just erased the only copy of the raw payroll data, and the backup systems only worked if someone who knew what they were doing set them up properly. The weekend passed in a blur of news coverage and angry social media posts. Frontier Construction was trending on Twitter for all the wrong reasons. Construction workers were sharing screenshots of their impossible pay stubs. Local news stations were running stories about the walkout. Labor advocates were calling for state investigations. Bryce Martinez went on the local news Saturday night looking like he'd aged 10 years in 2 days. He gave some carefully prepared statement about unforeseen technical complications during a routine system upgrade. He promised that everyone would be paid by Monday morning and that the company was working around the clock to resolve the issues. What he didn't mention was that Oliver's Excel disaster had created problems that couldn't be fixed over a weekend. The payroll data was corrupted. The bank had frozen our operating accounts. The state labor boards in 6 states were opening investigations, and 18,000 workers were still sitting in their trucks, refusing to work until they saw actual money in their accounts. Monday morning, I was sitting on my porch drinking coffee and reading news articles about our payroll crisis when my phone rang. Bryce Martinez. Jack. His voice sounded like he'd been gargling gravel. Morning, Bryce. Saw you on the news Saturday night. Nice interview. I especially liked the part where you said the problems were caused by unforeseen technical complications. Cut the sarcasm. The state labor board is opening investigations in 6 states. The union is talking about a class action lawsuit. The bank froze our operating accounts because Oliver's payroll file made their fraud detection system think we'd been hacked. Sounds like quite a situation. I need you to come back. Consulting basis. Name your price. I'd been waiting for this call since Friday afternoon. $25,000 cash up front, plus a new contract at 4 times my old salary. Done. I'm not finished. I want a public apology from you and Oliver posted on the company website. admitting that the payroll problems were caused by premature implementation of an inadequate system. Long silence. Fine. And one more thing. I report directly to the CEO now, not to operations. I'm done dealing with people who think Excel is enterprise software. Whatever you need, Jack, just fix this. I have one final condition, I said. Oliver gets reassigned permanently. I'm not training anyone from your family or anyone else's family ever again. He's already been moved to marketing research. Good. I'll be there in an hour. I drove back to the office Monday afternoon. The parking lot still had union guys camped out, but they waved when they saw my truck. Pete Henderson walked over as I was getting out. Jack, tell me you're here to save our butts. Working on it, Pete. You guys should see some action by Wednesday morning. What about back pay for the time we've been sitting here? Every penny with overtime for the guys who were scheduled to work. Pete nodded and stepped back. All right, everyone. Jack's here. Let's give him some space to work. I walked into the building like I owned it, because for the next few days, I basically did. The server room felt like coming home after a long deployment. I fired up my workstation and started digging through the wreckage Oliver had left behind. It was worse than I'd expected. He hadn't just corrupted the payroll data, he'd managed to lock the database tables, create circular references in the tax calculation modules, and somehow convince the system that we employed 943,000 people named Error. Danny stopped by the server room around 5 p.m. with a sandwich and coffee. Thought you might need this, he said. How bad is it? Bad, but fixable. I'll need about 20 hours of solid work. Danny nodded. I'll make sure nobody bothers you. There's a cot and pillow in the break room if you need to crash for a few hours. The next 20 hours were a blur of SQL queries, custom scripts, and careful data reconstruction. The good news was that I'd set up redundant backup systems years ago, systems that Oliver didn't even know existed. The transaction logs were all there, buried in archived files that required specific credentials to access. I rebuilt everything from scratch. Employee records, time entries, wage calculations, tax withholdings. I cross-referenced everything against the physical time cards that our site supervisors still filled out as backup. It was tedious work, but it was the only way to ensure accuracy. By Tuesday evening, I had a clean payroll file ready. I ran it through every validation check I could think of. State-by-state tax calculations, union contract compliance, prevailing wage verification, OSHA reporting requirements. Everything checked out. Wednesday morning at 6 a.m., I hit the transmit button. The electronic funds transfer went through without a hitch. 18,000 workers would wake up to find their correct paychecks waiting, plus overtime pay for the 3 days they'd lost sitting in parking lots. I walked out of the server room for the first time in almost 2 days. My back ached, my eyes were burning, and I probably smelled like a combination of coffee and determination, but the job was done. Pete Henderson was waiting in the lobby with a group of union reps. When he saw me, his face broke into a huge grin. Jack Morrison, you beautiful miracle worker. The guys are seeing their deposits now. Everything looks correct. Good. Tell everyone to double-check their statements. If anyone sees any discrepancies, have them contact me directly. Pete extended his hand, and I shook it. You saved a lot of families from a very rough week. We won't forget that. The union guys filed out, already making calls to get the work sites back up and running. By noon, the parking lot was empty. The trucks were rolling back to their job sites. The crisis was over. Bryce called me to his office Wednesday afternoon. He looked like he'd spent the past 5 days in a war zone. His expensive suit was rumpled, his hair was a mess, and he had dark circles under his eyes. It's done, I said before he could speak. Everyone's been paid correctly, including compensation for the walkout days. The bank has unfrozen our accounts. The state labor boards have suspended their investigations pending final verification. Thank you, he said quietly. Where's Oliver? Reassigned to marketing research. Turns out family connections only go so far when you cost the company millions of dollars and nearly trigger a federal investigation. And my new office? Bryce gestured toward the corner office with windows overlooking the equipment yard. All yours. I had them put in a new coffee machine and a standing desk. Whatever else you need, just let Simon know. I also need to hire 2 additional database administrators. People I choose, not people your family recommends. We need redundancy in case something happens to me. Agreed. Send me the job descriptions and salary requirements. One more thing. I wanted in writing that no major system changes can be implemented without my approval. If someone has a revolutionary new idea for how to run payroll, they run it by me first. Bryce pulled out his tablet and started typing. I'll have the contracts ready by end of day. Anything else? Yeah, the company website still needs that public apology. It's already posted. Simon put it up this morning. I walked to my new office and sat down in the ergonomic chair. Through the window, I could see the construction sites coming back to life. Cranes moving, trucks rolling out with full crews, the familiar rhythm of productive work resuming. My phone buzzed with a text from Danny. Heard Oliver's working in marketing now. Think he can handle calculating ad impressions? I pulled out the bottle of good bourbon from my box of personal items and poured a shot into my new coffee mug. This qualified as a celebration if anything did. Over the next few weeks, things settled back into normal operations. I hired 2 excellent database administrators, both with real-world experience in construction payroll systems. I spent time training them on the nuances of our operation, making sure the institutional knowledge was properly documented and distributed. Bryce kept his distance. He'd learned an expensive lesson about the difference between innovation and recklessness. The board of directors had apparently given him a severe dressing down about the payroll disaster. Rumors were circulating that he was on thin ice with the family. Oliver, from what I heard, was keeping his head down in marketing. He'd learned that real-world business is very different from case studies in an MBA program. I actually ran into him in the parking lot one afternoon about 6 weeks after the disaster. "Jack," he said, stopping when he saw me. I wanted to apologize. I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't understand how complex everything was. I looked at him for a moment. He seemed genuinely chastened by the experience. "Oliver, the biggest problem wasn't that you didn't know how to do the job. It was that you didn't know what you didn't know. Confidence without competence is dangerous, especially when people's livelihoods are on the line. I know that now." "Good. That's a lesson worth learning early in your career. Just make sure you remember it." He nodded and walked away. I actually felt a little bad for him. He'd been set up to fail by a system that valued connections over competence, but that was a learning experience he needed to have. 3 months after the payroll disaster, I was sitting in my corner office reviewing quarterly reports when Simon stopped by. "Jack, got a minute? What's up?" "The CEO wants to schedule a meeting with you about modernizing our payroll systems. Apparently there's some new software that might be worth evaluating." I smiled. "Tell him I'm happy to evaluate any new system, as long as we do it the right way. Proper testing, gradual implementation, redundant backups, and no switching everything over on a Friday before a payroll run." Simon laughed. "I'll pass that along. Somehow I think he'll agree to those terms." After Simon left, I turned back to my window. The construction sites were busy as ever. 18,000 workers building bridges, highways, buildings, good people doing honest work, counting on their paychecks to arrive on time so they could take care of their families. That's what this job was really about. Not the databases or the scripts or the complex calculations. It was about making sure working people got what they earned when they earned it. No shortcuts, no compromises, no letting someone with a fancy degree and no real experience gamble with people's livelihoods. The whole experience had taught me something valuable too. In my Navy days, we had a saying: plan for the worst, hope for the best, and always have a backup for your backup. I'd built those redundant systems years ago without knowing I'd need them. That foresight had saved 18,000 paychecks and probably my career. But it also reminded me that institutional knowledge, the kind that comes from years of experience from making mistakes and learning from them, can't be replaced by theoretical education alone. Oliver wasn't a bad kid, just inexperienced and overconfident. The real problem was a system that valued nepotism over competence and shortcuts over proven methods. The construction industry runs on trust. Workers trust that if they show up and do their jobs, they'll get paid fairly and on time. Contractors trust that their crews will be there when needed. And companies like ours trust that the people running critical systems know what they're doing. When any part of that trust breaks down, everything falls apart. 6 months later, I got a call from Pete Henderson. The union was recommending me for an industry award, Outstanding Service to Construction Workers. They wanted to present it at the annual trade conference. "You know I'm not much for ceremonies," I told Pete. "This isn't about ceremonies, Jack. This is about recognition. What you did showed 18,000 workers that someone has their back. That matters more than you know." So I accepted. At the ceremony, standing in front of 500 construction professionals, I kept my speech short. I just did my job, I said. But I learned something important from this experience. In our industry, we build things that last. Bridges, buildings, roads that serve communities for decades. The same principle applies to the systems that support our workers. You can't build something solid on a foundation of shortcuts and wishful thinking. You need experience, planning, and respect for the complexity of what you're dealing with. The applause was genuine. These were people who understood the value of doing things right the first time. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the bottle of good bourbon, poured myself one more shot into my coffee mug, and raised it toward the window where the late afternoon sun was setting over our busy construction sites. Here's to keeping the beast running, to doing the job right, and to making sure working people get what they've earned. Sometimes the best revenge is simply being indispensable. And sometimes, just sometimes, competence wins over connections. In a world that worships the latest trends and quick fixes, there's still something to be said for the guy who knows how to keep the lights on when everyone else is standing in the dark. Experience isn't just knowledge. It's wisdom earned through every crisis survived and every problem solved. That's worth drinking to.